Okay, so now we are ready to do our kumihimo. So I've chosen Bugtail, and these are the 4 colours that I have chosen, and I'll include links to them so that you can get the exact ones that I've got here. This one's called Antique Gold, Brown, Black and Ivory, I think. I'm not sure exactly what colours they are, so I'll just include links to them to make sure that you get the exact colours. But I thought those would be nice for the bead. Now, for the kumihimo that we are doing today, you need to figure out first how long your necklace is going to be. I want mine to be about 16 inches long, and so you need to multiply that by 3. So each of our strands that we're going to cut needs to be 48 inches long. Now, you need 8 strands for this kumihimo, but since I have only 4 colours, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 strands at 96 inches long and then fold them in half so that we have duplicate colours. So I'll just bring that over to show you, so you can see that we have each colour twice. And so basically what I did is I cut 4 strands each at 96 inches long, and then I took those and I folded them in half, and then I tied a basic overhand knot so that the knot fell right in the middle, so each of these strands are of equal length. If I bring those along, here we are. And then what you do is you position that knot that you made in the middle of your kumihimo disc, and you'll take each of your strands and you'll just pop them onto your disc. So you'll want them positioned so that you have 2 strands between your north, 2 strands between your east, 2 strands between your south, and 2 strands between your west, like that. And so you can see that I have a gold on this side, a gold on that side, a black on that side, and a black on that side. So I'll just show you how I attach them. So they just fold in pretty easily. There we are. See what it looks like. Now what you do is you take your knot, and this can be a little difficult because, well, it's a little heavy with all of these strands, and you'll just take one, and don't worry about positioning it perfectly at the moment, we can do that in a minute, and you'll play, I like to rotate between a dark and a light and a dark and a light, so I'll have the black there, and then I'll have the beige. Then I'll rotate and I'll have a brown on my west side and a gold. And then I'll rotate again and I'll have a black on my north and a beige. And then I'll rotate again. Now your end pieces are always going to look a little messy, so you can, because of the knot, so it's going to be a little tangled at the end. Don't worry about that, we're going to trim that off towards the end. And then you want to just pull on it slightly to try and get it in the middle. Just like that. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to start on one side, and you always start with the north side. Sorry, it's a little hard to keep this all on camera because I've got strands flying off everywhere. But you'll start on the north side, and you'll take your one strand and you'll bring it down like this. And you always want it to go you want it to be on the same side. And then you'll go to the opposite side and you'll bring that up like that. And then rotate. Now it doesn't matter which way you rotate, you've just got to make sure that you always rotate in the same direction each time. And now you also need to be careful because your strands are going to get a little knotted if you do this and you don't you don't pull them out like that. You need to make sure that you loosen up your strands each time. So don't just do this without pulling on your strands to make sure that they don't knot, because that's a bit of a problem. Now I'm going to just hold on it like this now that we've got a little bit to hold on. 2. Sorry, it's a little hard to keep this in the camera. Pull, and you want to pull tight each time. Now, the beginning stages are going to look a little wonky, but as you progress, it will look better. Okay, so now that we are finished making our kumihimo, we now want to take it off of the board. And that's really simple. All you do is just hold the bottom over here, because you don't want it unraveling, and just unclip your pieces. It can be a little bit awkward because you're holding the bottom and so you've only got one hand to do this, but you just want to unclip it. And always hold the bottom because you don't want this unraveling. And then just give it a good tug to even out all of those threads. Okay, so now what you do is you will create a knot. This is also going to be a little fiddly because you have one hand to do this, while your other hand is occupied holding that in place. Okay, and then you want to loop this over where your other finger is so that it holds that braid in place, just like that. And then make sure to give it a good tug and pull on each of the individual strands just to make sure that it's good and tight, and that will keep your braid in place while you work. Okay, so now we don't want all this excess string, so we'll just take our snips and snip that off. Okay, so now this is more workable. Now, whatever I do on this end, you want to repeat on the other end. So you can see that both ends are basically the exact same at the moment. So anything I do on this end, just repeat on that end. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to get a nice thin thread, and I'm just using Nymo. You don't have to use Nymo, but that's the one that I'm using. And try to get in a colour that matches whatever your kumihimo looks like. And dish yourself out a generous amount. Okay. And then what you'll do is you'll just do a quick overhand knot, and you'll tie that near where your knot is. Don't tie it right up against it, just tie it near. And this is where our bead cone is going to be. Now I like to do another overhand knot just to make sure that that was properly tied, and now give it a good tug whenever you put a knot in, because this needs to be good and strong. Okay, then I'll take both pieces and I'll just start to twist. What this is doing is it's just keeping those threads together, and it's going to make your life easier. And it's just an extra security measure. Okay, so now that you've done that, just do another overhand knot, and this can be a little awkward. Don't worry about it, just give it a good overhand knot, tighten it, and do another overhand knot. Now if you're wondering what that noise is in the background, my dad is lathing. So that's what the noise is in the background. He likes lathing with wood. Okay, so you'll just do 2 overhand knots in the same place to get it nice and strong. Little fiddly, but that's fine. Okay, and just make sure you give it a good tug. Then snip off the ends. Don't snip it too close. You do want a little bit of a tail, but you don't want so much of a tail that it's going to drag out. Okay, just like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to snip off this knot. Now, you want to do it fairly close to this, but you don't want to do it so close that you snip it. You want to leave a little bit of a tail. Just like that. Okay, now put that aside. Now we want to bring over our E6000 glue, and that's the one that I recommend using, as it's really strong and really good for this. Now just squeeze out a good bubble. And this is my end cap. I got this off of eBay. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put that blob of glue in the end cap and close up the 6000. Okay, now this is a bit messy and I'll clean it up afterwards, but I want to work these threads into the end cap, and you want to push it in. So you want a nice tight fit, and don't worry about all this glue. This glue glues almost like it dries, almost like elastic, so if there's any yucky bits coming off, just wipe away what you can, and later on, once it's cured, you'll be able to actually peel it off as though it were elastic. So don't worry about that. You want a good soak. If there's any tails coming out, like over here, just take your snips. Oops. And this can be a little fiddly. And just snip those off. And try to wipe those near where the glue is so that it kind of hides it. Okay, and then I like to twist it on a bit. Okay, and then you'll leave this to cure for a little while, maybe about half an hour. Doesn't take too long to cure. Okay, so now I do the exact same on the other end, but what I do is over here where we tied that string around after, and then you chop off the knot, but before you put the glue and the end cap on, you want to slide your bead on and then you put the end cap on. So I'll just show you that once I've got the tying done. Okay, so I've finished wrapping these ones around, so now we are ready to string our bead on. Just as soon as I've trimmed this up quickly and snip this off too, just like that. Okay, I always hate this, but it's so delicate. And then you just work your bead in there. Having a little bit of trouble. Okay. Just slide your bead in. It's just because that knot that I made over there. There we are. It's just because this is fairly thick, so my bead didn't like it. But there we are. Okay, so now that it's on, you would just finish off the exact same way that I showed you before. Okay, so I just finished up the end cap. Now it's still pretty wet, so we need to be careful. But we can attach the clasp at the moment. So so what you do, got open already actually, but what you do basically is you'll have a jump ring. You just open up the jump ring, thread a part of your clasp onto the jump ring, and then thread the jump ring onto a part of your clasp and close up. And you'll do the exact same for the hook. Good gracious, it's noisy today. That was an aeroplane. It seems to be very noisy today. But you'll do the exact same on the other side. There's a little hook clasp. Okay. And that means that it's finished, and so I would leave this until tomorrow morning. But there, I just wanted to show you what it looked like. There, I'll just actually zoom out a bit for you. Whoops, wrong way. There you go. So now you can see exactly what it looks like. But there we are. That's what the necklace looks like. So I do hope that this tutorial was helpful to you, and if it was, please do check out the links below, as there will be links below to some of the things that I referenced in this tutorial. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to friend me on Facebook and let me know that you are my patron, so that I'll add you to my Facebook group, where I do polls and I have updates and all sorts of things that I'm sure you guys will love. So be sure to friend me and let me know that you want to be part of that Facebook group, and I'll add you as soon as I can, and I look forward to seeing you there. And as always, I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.